Open this $200 million safe or your mom's fired. Billionaire laughed. Black maid's son did it fast now. The party was in full swing on the top floor of the glass-walled penthouse overlooking Manhattan, lights of the city glittering like scattered diamonds below. Champagne flowed, laughter echoed off marble floors, and a string quartet played something classical that no one was really listening to. In the center of it all stood Victor Harlan, tech billionaire, founder of Harlan Dynamics, a man whose net worth hovered somewhere north of $12 billion. At 48, he still had the sharp jawline and restless energy of the college dropout who'd built an empire on encrypted cloud storage. Tonight was his annual New Year's Eve bash, invitation only, the kind where celebrities, senators, and hedge fund titans rubbed shoulders. But Victor's favorite part wasn't the guests. It was the game. He clapped his hands once, sharp as a gunshot, and the room quieted. All eyes turned to the massive brushed steel vault door set into one wall, an imposing relic he'd had custom built, modeled after the one in his Swiss bank. Inside, rumor had it, were bearer bonds, rare diamonds, and cash stacks that could fund a small nation. Victor called it his party trick. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, voice carrying that trademark mix of charm and arrogance, "every year I give someone a chance to prove they're smarter than my engineers. This safe is rated at $200 million, insured for that, anyway. It has a 12-digit biometric code, retinal scan, voice recognition, and a time lock that resets every midnight. No one has ever opened it. Not the CIA consultants I hired to test it, not the ethical hackers I flew in from Tel Aviv." He grinned, scanning the crowd. "Tonight's wager is simple. Anyone who opens it in under 10 minutes keeps whatever's inside. Anyone who fails." He paused for effect. "Well, let's just say there'll be consequences." A ripple of nervous laughter. Everyone knew Victor's consequences were never trivial. His gaze landed on Maria Okoye, his housekeeper of 15 years, who stood discreetly near the kitchen pass-through in her crisp black uniform, refilling trays as quietly as always. Beside her, helping carry empty glasses, was her 17-year-old son, Jamal, tall, lanky, wearing the borrowed white shirt and black slacks of the catering staff because Maria hadn't wanted him left alone in their small Bronx apartment on New Year's Eve. Victor's smile widened, almost predatory. "Maria," he called, loud enough for the whole room to hear. "You've been with me a long time. Loyal, hardworking. So here's tonight's twist." He gestured grandly toward the safe. "If anyone in this room opens my safe in the next 10 minutes, they win the prize. But if no one does," he let the silence stretch, "I'll have to let you go. Effective immediately. Budget cuts, you understand." Gasps and murmurs swept the crowd. A few guests laughed uncomfortably, assuming it was one of Victor's elaborate jokes. But Maria's face went still, the tray in her hands trembling slightly. She needed this job. Health insurance for Jamal's asthma, rent that had doubled in 5 years, college applications looming. Jamal stepped forward instinctively, placing a steadying hand on his mother's arm. His dark eyes met Victor's across the room. Victor laughed outright. "Oh, perfect. The kid wants to play hero." He waved a hand. "Fine. Anyone can try, even the help." The word landed like a slap. Phones came out. Someone started a timer on a big screen, 10 o'clock counting down. Guests crowded forward, emboldened by champagne and the thrill of spectacle. A famous actor punched random codes. A venture capitalist tried voice commands in 3 languages. A pop star posed for selfies while pretending to scan her retina. Each failure triggered a mocking buzzer from the safe, and Victor's laughter grew louder. Maria stood frozen, whispering prayers in Igbo under her breath. Jamal watched quietly, his expression unreadable. At 4:12 remaining, the crowd began to lose interest. Victor raised his glass. "Looks like we're saying goodbye to Maria tonight, folks. Nothing personal, just business." That was when Jamal spoke for the first time. "I'll try." The room turned. Victor arched an eyebrow. "You, kid, you bust tables. You don't even have a high school diploma yet." Jamal shrugged. "Doesn't cost anything to let me try." Victor considered, then shrugged theatrically. "Why not? Entertainment for the masses." He gestured grandly. "Go ahead, young man. You've got 4 minutes." Jamal walked calmly to the safe. The crowd parted like he was Moses. He didn't touch the keypad. didn't lean in for a retinal scan. He simply stood there, studying the door the way he'd once studied chess boards in the public library after school. His mother watched, heart pounding. At 3:45, Jamal reached out, not to the keypad, but to a tiny, almost invisible panel near the base of the door. He pressed it gently with 2 fingers, held for 3 seconds, then released. A soft click. The crowd murmured. He then placed his palm flat against the steel, not on any scanner, but dead center. Another soft hum. Victor frowned. What the hell? Jamal leaned close to the voice mic and spoke clearly, not a code, but a simple sentence. Mr. Harlan, you always said kindness is inefficient. Victor's face twitched. Jamal stepped back. The massive door unlocked with a deep pneumatic hiss, swinging open slowly to reveal stacks of cash, glittering jewels, and a single framed photo on the top shelf. Victor is a young man, standing beside a much poorer-looking woman who bore a striking resemblance to Maria. The timer read 2:58 remaining. Silence blanketed the room. Jamal didn't reach inside. He turned to Victor instead. How? Victor demanded, voice cracking for the first time. Jamal spoke quietly, but everyone heard. 3 years ago, you had the safe upgraded after that break-in scare. You brought in the engineers yourself. I was 14, helping my mom clean late one night. You were drunk, bragging about how unbreakable it was. You said the override was hidden for emergencies only, a manual pressure plate at the base, a magnetic palm signature you'd programmed yourself, and a voice phrase you'd chosen because no one would ever guess it. He paused. You said the phrase was, kindness is inefficient, because you believed it. You laughed about it, told the engineers it was ironic. I remembered. I remember everything you say when you think no one's really listening. Victor's face had gone pale beneath his tan. Jamal continued, voice steady. I didn't do this for the money. I did it because my mom has worked for you since I was 2. She's cleaned up after your parties, your messes, your life, for 15 years without ever missing a day. She's raised me alone since my dad died, paid for my inhalers when insurance wouldn't, believed in me when no one else did. He looked at his mother, eyes shining. And you were going to fire her. For a game. Maria's hand was over her mouth, tears streaming. Jamal turned back to the open safe. He reached in, not for the cash or diamonds, but for the framed photo. He walked over and handed it gently to Victor. This belongs to you. The rest, I don't want. Victor stared at the photo. Himself at 25, arm around his own mother, a cleaning woman who'd worked 3 jobs to put him through community college. The woman he'd rarely mentioned in interviews. Something broke open in Victor's expression. Not anger, shame. The room was utterly still. Victor looked at Maria, then at Jamal. His voice came out hoarse. Maria, I'm sorry. Your job. It's yours as long as you want it. Benefits doubled. College fund for Jamal, whatever he needs. He turned to the crowd, many of whom were now avoiding his eyes. Party's over. As guests filed out awkwardly, Victor approached Jamal and Maria. For the first time in years, he looked human. Jamal, he said quietly, I was wrong. About a lot of things. He glanced at the safe, still open. Kindness isn't inefficient. It's everything. Jamal nodded, taking his mother's hand. Later, when the penthouse was empty, Victor sat alone with the photo of his younger self and his mother. He made calls that night, setting up scholarships for children of domestic workers, anonymous donations to asthma research, a foundation in his mother's name. And every year after, on New Year's Eve, the safe stayed closed. Not because it was unbreakable, but because some doors, once opened by compassion, never need to be locked again.